up, Define Nation? And welcome to another episode of Define Your Health with Danielle Girdano. Strength through knowledge. And Define Nation, you know that I'm a strong advocate of living, not just existing. And today we are going to take a look at aging in America and how aging in America has really changed, and how today's senior is definitely not like the senior of past years. We're joined today by my very special guest, Neal, and you're going to love this, Define Nation. He's kind of like Madonna or Cher. It's just Neal because he's so widely respected in his profession of caring for the lives of older Americans. He's actually based in Farmersville, and he's with the Foursquare Group. Neal, thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you so much, Danielle, for having me. And I just want to say, I mean, you're just too generous with the accolades. I don't know that they're completely due or deserved, but nonetheless, I'll take them. Thank you.
Absolutely deserved. Absolutely deserved. Cher, Neal. I'm telling you, this is good. So let's dig right into it, because the senior of today, like I said, is not the let me bake cookies and just sit at home and knit 5 days a week, 7 days a week. In the United States right now, persons that are 65 years and older are now at 44.7 million. Now, that's actually 14.1% of the entire U.S. population, which means basically 1 out of every 7 Americans is 65 and older. And, of course, the baby boom generation, you can't get away from that. People have been talking about that for years, especially in relation to Social Security. But something that I found interesting, not just today, but looking into the future, by 2040, there's going to be about 98 million 65 and older adults living in the United States, which is going to be more than twice of their number just a couple years ago in 2013. So have you seen this influx? Have you seen the sheer numbers of this population with what you do day to day?
Well, yes, Danielle, absolutely. Just in my career, healthcare, dealing with long-term care and seniors, baby boomers, we all knew that the time was going to come, that the 65 plus population is going to grow. Actually, there are some statistics to say that the population of those 85 plus are going to grow. Men are now living approximately 17 years longer. Yes, from 65.
That's because they listen to my show, right? They live in longer. Okay, sorry. That's a shameless plug, Define Nation.
Right.
DefineYourHealth.com. No, go ahead.
Yes, and women still are outlasting us men. So, just in general, of course, people are living much longer. And, of course, those things are from a wide variety of things. Of course, we live here in a very industrialized country. As a matter of fact, we spend more than any other country. I think it's about 17% of our gross domestic product is spent on healthcare. So with that, there's a lot of research that has been done. And, of course, that research that we're doing here in America has gone out through all of the world.
Now, have you seen this impact as far as housing or the job sector? I know some of the statistics that I was looking at show that people aren't just living longer, but they're being active. They are being, they want to be involved in activities, being physically active, being with clubs, organizations, groups, working, even if it's, just a part-time job, just to be out there and about. Have you also seen kind of the repercussions in a good way of those as well, too? Or
yes, of course. So those things come from a variety of things. First, if we looked at socially, people now are in multiple roles. Of course, now you have dual income households most of the time. So with those parents, and then you also have that segment of people also having to take care of their parents, which are living longer. And then also, I found a statistic that said about 497,000 grandparents, as they call them, also are raising grandchildren.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Right. So, of course, what that means is, if you have a young person around you, it's going to keep you vibrant. And, of course, today with social media and those things are going on, you can't help but to be lit on just life itself and just the things that you're now exposed to. It's more than just the bubble that we used to live in. The world has essentially, as they're calling it, has become flat. So living here in America, you could actually have a relationship with anyone in the world via the internet.
Well, and I think that's so profound that grandparents are now kind of filling the roles of parents with children. That's a testament, because I remember, even growing up, when my mother had friends and they were talking, raising kids is a young person's game, or that's a 20-something's game.
No.
I think that's a testament of, again, people are truly living. They're staying more vital. It's not just living longer, but they're healthier. as they are aging.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, and of course, that's just one way to look at it, as you said, the positive way of looking at it. But then, we could go to some other social things. But nonetheless, with that being said, yes, people are living longer. And with people living longer, some things that, they just have to look at in living longer. The biggest thing, of course, is, can I finance my age?
Yes, which is definitely an economic issue. And,
Yes.
and unfortunately, some of those people that do have those jobs, it's more of a necessity versus, wanting to. Thank goodness that they are still able to go out and do what they like. But people are also living independently much more as well, too, whether it's in like a community type of atmosphere or whether, they are in their own home. But especially in the community atmospheres, it seems like the seniors of yesterday, I guess I should say, when you thought about living in a senior community or living in like an assisted living or something like that, you thought of this old, frail kind of, oh my goodness, and like nurses and and that's not what the picture is today, right? I mean, from your experience, what is the average assisted living now? I mean, what are the people doing? How are they doing? Can you shed some light on that?
I would be happy to. I think that's an area that I am very comfortable being. So you go, I think the order is first you have your independent living, then you have your assisted living, and then you have your geriatric or long-term care. And from the independent living all the way to the long-term care, there are many things that are going on. Of course, you have the activities that you also help provide in some of those communities, right, Danielle?
We do.
Yes.
We keep them moving and shaking.
Come on now. Yes, indeed. You just have wonderful people. So with that being said, I mean, when you start in your independent livings, those are places that I wouldn't mind hanging out. As a matter of fact, I do hang out because you have all types of things, people, all types of things to do, all types of people coming in to those communities. And, with that being said, it is a lifestyle that's easy, that's comfortable, that's relaxed, but then it's also manageable. And it's an industry sector that's, rapidly booming. We're up here in Collin County. And I know of 3 new buildings that are going up as we presently speak.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. Well, and again, I think it's a lot of the assisted living that you're seeing now. I mean, it's almost like they're resorts, or the amenities that are there. Can you kind of shed just quickly before we go to break here some light on what the amenities maybe used to be 30 years ago versus what they are now, or how they've improved, or how that influx of active lifestyle has forced the change for the industry?
Sure. The lifestyle forced the change of the industry because you have a younger population that demands more because their parents gave them more. So now as they're getting older, or their parents are getting older, they want their parents to be in places that are not dark, gloomy, and smelly. So some of these buildings now, they actually are based on a resort type of feel. With starting at your independent livings, they look like any other typically apartment complex or condominiums that you would live at. But in that particular complex or facility, they have other things such as meals that are being provided, and then you have activities and other things that they can do as well.
Well, and I'm sure that just helps with the emotional state of the person, too. It's about truly having friends, having a community, not just being there. And I want to dig into that a little bit more as soon as we come back from break.
Absolutely.
And remember, Defy Nation, this segment brought to you by the Lexington Medical Lodge. When sincere and personable health care for your loved one matters, choose Lexington. Visit them today at LexingtonMedicalLodge.com. Hey, Defy Nation, this is Danielle. We all have people in our lives who we love and only want to give them the very best in care as they age. Lexington Medical Lodge in Farmersville, Texas has a sincere and personable staff to care for your loved one. In designing the facility, they actually studied the resort and hospitality industry for inspiration. Wow! Lexington Medical Lodge combines the industry's latest treatment techniques and equipment with a highly personalized approach to care. This patient-centered combination of technology and skilled care enables their rehabilitation guests to return home as quickly as possible, along with providing their long-term guests with enhanced well-being and quality of life. And you know I'm a fan of quality of life. Visit them today at LexingtonMedicalLodge.com. That's LexingtonMedicalLodge.com. This is Danielle. Something that's truly near and dear to my heart is the epidemic of childhood obesity in the United States. This is a preventable epidemic that is taking over the lives of the next generation of children in this country. This year, Define is embarking on the highwayforhealth.org project. It is a project to call attention to the epidemic of childhood obesity in the United States and how preventable it truly is. Help me help the future. Visit highwayforhealth.org. Again, that's highway, F-O-R, health.org. And we are back to Define Nation with the very widely respected Mr. Neal, one name Neal, and we're talking about aging in America and really how aging has drastically changed from possibly your grandparents or great-grandparents to your parents now, and what the expectations are, the standards of living, and really living and not just existing. And we left the last break really talking about how it is, even in the assisted living facilities now, it's more of an apartment community type of feel because the expectations are simply higher, and what is expected and the feel, whether it be brightness or activities or amenities or what have you, it's just become greater, and therefore the industry had to change. The change was forced.
Yes, that's exactly right, Danielle, and I think that change, obviously came for the better. For instance, the facility Lexington Medical Lodge that I work out of, a brand new facility, and just a small number that I've kind of heard was 10 plus million. So I like to believe if an investment is made like that, then it was done with the right heart, and that's just for the people and the expectation that families have.
Well, and I want to kind of talk about the different segments because I believe that maybe 30 years ago, we'll say 80s, 70s, what have you, that income level really dictated kind of life expectancy and what that life expectancy looked like. And we saw minority groups that had a much shorter life expectancy than Caucasians in the U.S. Now we're really kind of seeing a flip where it's not about the income level and it's not necessarily about a culture or a particular race. And, one of the things that really struck me is when I was going through some statistics, specifically in African Americans, their life expectancy has gotten much longer. And what do you attribute, and we're also seeing in the Hispanic population too. Now, some people can credit that to just the type of lifestyle that we have in the U.S. versus some of the Latin countries. But have you seen, or is there any cause and effect relationships that you have seen where minority groups are having a longer life expectancy?
Yes, and that comes through knowledge, education, of course. With those two things, it comes a better lifestyle for people, and that better lifestyle, especially in more industrialized countries. It's an interesting statistic, Danielle, that Sweden used to have the longest life expectancy, but now Japan actually has the longest life expectancy of the world. So the sense, and
very interesting.
Yes, and demographers were believing that the life expectancy had maybe kind of reached its upper limits. However,
for Sweden, you mean?
Well, no, just for the world in general.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
Just for the world in general.
Okay.
And that has not happened. So where I'm going with that is because you're speaking of income. In dealing with income and having an idea of income, people are really outliving their income. Yes.
You're right. No,
yes.
You're absolutely correct.
Yes.
You're absolutely correct. I agree with you.
Yes, ma'am. And with that being said, now as we start to look at the older population, so you have that 65 plus, but then actually what experts are saying, the older population is actually 85 plus. So now you start to think of income, and interesting enough, I was speaking with someone yesterday. He's 62, and his wife made the comment that people weren't hiring. So the income that we're living off of either comes from pensions or comes from Social Security mainly. And with that, elderly persons below the poverty level from 2011, the rate is drastically or statistically different from the poverty just in 2010, it changed about 8.9%, and that's for more people entering into the older population each and every day.
So are you seeing that adult children, are now stepping into different roles where, mom and dad are living longer, or grandma and grandpa are living longer, and they still want that activity, they still want a full life, but they are running into these economic situations? What are these maybe grandchildren or children, how are they adapting to this? What options do you really see that they are taking, or what are in front of them?
Right. So they're looking at things much sooner because they realize that mom, dad may be around a lot longer than maybe what their grandparents were. And with that being said, we're working to try to balance or stretch money or budget money for maybe life expectancy, and then also they're looking into maybe more a different type of insurance policy. Insurance policy, maybe a long-term care insurance policy that they're able to pay into earlier on for their golden years, as I like to call them.
Now, are you finding that people who are going into these type of kind of apartment style, really quality of life type of assisted living facilities, is it actually work out economically better for families to do that? Is that an option that kind of works out better, or is it not? Is it just something, it depends on each situation, or kind of walk us through that?
Yes, it definitely depends on each situation, Danielle. With independent livings and assisted livings, they have what is called also a level of care, but then they also have what is called, I guess, maybe their base room rate. So those are two separate things. So your base room rate, that's just for your room and board, your food, amenities, activities, those types of things. So then when you have level of care, that's where maybe if you can be in an independent living, but typically that's from an assisted living, where you need more things physically done for you, or you need more help with activities of daily living, or ADLs, or what they're called.
So just instead of being just like a regular worker, maybe you need an RN. So there's a difference there. Is that what you're saying?
Well, not necessarily RNs, because we're talking about education and credentials, but just the assistance that you need to do your activities of daily living. And activities of daily living consist of things from combing or brushing your hair, brushing your teeth, bathing, washing your face, incontinent care, those types of things. So the higher that level of carriers, the greater or the more the cost to be in a facility would be. And then you go from there, from your not your independent living, but your assisted livings to your long-term cares, and then those facility changes, those cost changes as well.
Okay, well, we have got to go to commercial break here very quickly, but I want to kind of elaborate on the topic whenever we get back. Remember, Defy Nation, this segment brought to you by Wonderfully Raw, organic, non-GMO stacks, bringing taste that will bring a smile of amazement to your day. Visit them today at mycocorunes.com. That's mycocoruns.com. Hey, Defy Nation, this is Danielle, and finding nutritional density in snacks these days can be a real challenge, especially for the little ones in your world. When I reach into my pantry, I grab a bag of Wonderfully Raw. Whether it's their Cocoa Runes, Brussel Bytes, Dippers, or Snip Chips, I know both my taste buds and my hunger will be satisfied. See the wide variety of flavors sure to please all members of your family at mycocorunes.com. That's mycocoruns.com. Hey, Defy Nation, this is Danielle. Now, you guys all know that I'm an avid cyclist, and the love of cycling has only grown from my first spin of the pedals. Because of my love for the sport, Richardson Bike Mart is my only choice when it comes to equipment, accessories, and the most knowledgeable cycle experts in DFW. Their massive selection is only outshined by the extent of cycling expertise and caring by the staff. Remember, choosing a bike is personal and precise, so make Richardson Bike Mart your only choice too. Visit them today in Frisco off John Hickman Parkway, Dallas off of Garland Road next to White Rock Lake, or the Richardson location at Campbell and Coit. Check them out at bikemart.com. That's BIKEMART.com. And we are back to Fi Nation with our very special guest, Neal. And we are talking about aging in America and what that looks like. And I want to really kind of talk about the actual activities that seniors are doing. Again, maybe a generation ago we thought of grandma or grandpa sitting in a chair or watching TV or baking cookies or knitting or I don't know, something like that. But one of the statistics that I came across was 82% of the 65 million online baby boomers are actually regular users of the internet and make purchases on the internet, specifically with health and wellness information and products. And the other thing is 83% of adults 50 and older have a smartphone. And they list email as their number one activity that they're doing on a smartphone. So we really have this generation of Americans that they are out there. They are not, oh my goodness, I need Junior to help me figure out how to use this. They're being active, using it on sites. As a matter of fact, 50% of older adults are using social networking sites and being active on an actual device, not a hard computer sitting at a desk. That's just amazing to me. That's awesome to me.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. My mom being one of those persons who has a smartphone and does the texting and checks her emails on the phone and even sometimes puts in an address to use her GPS. So I would say that technology is definitely an activity that seniors are involved in. From a community standpoint, activities that they're involved in, many communities, most communities have an activity director, and that activity director is championed with bringing in and introducing interesting things. So those things range from what I call the baby horses, but these are actually miniature horses, live miniature horses.
Oh my goodness!
Right. Right. So they come in and, that's just therapeutic. And then you have your pet therapy, then you have your sensory therapy, and then they do yoga. So, Danielle, they do, quite a number of interesting things. It has definitely gone away from just your bingo and your knitting or what is that card game that we like to play?
I don't know. Poker, go fish,
no,
things in the corner,
poker, go
old maid. I don't know.
But yes, the card game seniors, we know what we're talking about.
Well, speaking of horseplay, now I'm going to throw you a little bit of a curveball here now. Okay, we're going to get a little risque. So a fact that absolutely blew me out of water is among Americans that are 85 and older, slightly more than 25% of them report being sexually active on a regular basis. Go ahead with yourself, Grandma. That's what that really shocked me. And I think that has to do with, one, life expectancy, but two, quality of life and physical health being much better. We can make jokes about it, but really, especially for men being able to perform, for lack of a better term, hormone levels that need to be at a certain level to induce that kind of activity. Have you seen that? Have you? You're shaking your head. Come on now.
Yes, I have seen it. I don't want to say I've witnessed it firsthand.
Yeah. Let's clarify this.
Right, but this
is a PG-13 show.
Sure. And the interesting thing, as workers in facilities, we have to be prepared for that, and there are measures in place, primarily education for seniors. Nonetheless, one thing that I was told when I first came in this industry is that they're adults and they deserve and they want to be treated as such. So it's something that's a reality, and it's something that we definitely deal with every day.
Well, and kind of to go with that, and going a little bit more on the PG-13 side, the website that I was reading actually had, and again, 85 and older, so not 65, we're 85 and older, 20 years ahead, 43%, slightly over 43% of these 85 and older Americans report being very physically active at least 4 days a week, meaning they're doing some sort of physical activity. It's not just playing the cards or the checkers or what have you. And I think water aerobics was one of the top ones that were listed. But also, I saw volleyball on there. I saw bowling on there. I saw runners on there, competitive walking, speed walking. That's awesome to me as well, too.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. And again, Danielle, all those things that you named and just the things that we still like to do, seniors are also involved in. Still having their license is huge for them as
and
well.
Still driving.
Yeah,
Yes,
right,
yes,
right.
yes, yes,
And
yes.
still driving. Yes, ma'am. So, with that being said, I think we all have a lot to prepare ourselves for as we gracefully, hopefully, grow older.
Maybe hit that centurion mark. I mean, there are more
Yes!
centurions in the world now than there ever has been.
Yes, Danielle, and I've met a few myself, and when I say met them, actually talked to them and spoke with them. They had a very high quality of life. It wasn't that they were uncomprehensive or confused in any sort of the way. So, with that being said, again, I think we should prepare ourselves to, again, hopefully grow older gracefully.
Well, and having that cognitive ability and your mental faculties, I think, or at least for me, I mean, that would be my worst case scenario. And for so many people, I think they share that fear that it's okay if my body might not work like a 40 or a 50-year-old, but I want to be able to know who you are, who that is. If you trying to sneak me in some rice pudding instead of my chocolate pie or whatever it may be, you know what I'm trying to say? And I think that's very important to people, and that, to me, is a very important statistic.
Yes, ma'am. Dignity.
Dignity. Very good word.
Dignity. Everybody wants it. Everybody wants to have as high of quality of life as they possibly can. And with that being said, a question that we ask is, if we were to walk in and find you unresponsive, how would you like us to respond? Would you like us to do everything we could to revive you or allow you to go through the natural death process? And we always get the two answers, yes and no. Yes, if I make it and I have a quality of life. No, if I'm going to be a vegetable.
Well, and real quickly, as we finish up here, what do you really see as the future of older Americans moving into? Obviously, the baby boom generation, I forget the statistic, but something like 3,000 or something a day move into that group. And now we're living longer, Americans are living longer in general. We're going to have another generation behind them. What do you really see as the future, say, in the next 20, 25, 35 years?
Yes, ma'am. Interesting enough that you asked that. I see the older population, I think they said by 26, doubling in size. So I think the number that we've thrown out is about 44 million. So think about 88 million older Americans and just in the world. And those people are actually still wanting a very high quality of life, asking for more, expecting more. And I think just as children, it's what are we doing to now prepare ourselves and then for that part of our life, but then as children who have parents that are reaching that, what are we doing to again allow them to grow older gracefully?
Yeah, and having that peace of mind, knowing that I'm not just, like the Golden Girls. What was the joke was Sophia Shady Pines or something like that, and Dorothy. And I think as a parent, or I'm sorry, not as a parent, as a child or a grandchild, I think that's important for us to have peace of mind as well, too. Yes. And so since you are the expert, and I know we're probably going to get some emails and some posts about this, how can people directly get in touch with you if they have additional questions, if there are grandparents, or I'm sorry, I see you saying grandparents, grandchildren or children themselves that have questions specifically about maybe what is out there, what alternatives are there, what resources are there, where, if they really don't know where to start, how can they get in touch with you so that you can help them along the way?
Sure. I can be found at Lexington Medical Lodge, which is located at 2000 West Audie Murphy Parkway, and that's in Farmersville, Texas, zip code 75442. And a contact number for us is 972-784-7770.
Okay, well, awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and really discussing with our listeners the changing landscape of what it means to be an older adult in America and how it seems like it's a very bright future. It's not dark and gleam. It's not dark and gloomy. It has a bright future to it. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing the afternoon with us.
You're welcome, Danielle. Thank you so much.
And remember, Define Nation, tune in to our social media sites as we give away that $500 prize pack with a trivia question from today's show. I hope you guys were taking notes. Until next time, remember, motivated, dedicated, and highly recommended. Bye-bye.